capacity or don't necessarily have it on their agenda. So if we just look at all of the things that might need to be done to stimulate this market and to make the most of this opportunity that exists, these are there's 6 key things that we've identified that need to happen soon. Okay, so we've got codes and standards. Are they right? Are they enforced? How do they support green building? How do they present barriers for green building? Just making sure that there's good communication with that level of the industry. Information and disclosure. That's focused on the business case. We need to make sure that we know what the business case is here. We need to make sure that that evolves over time. So that this year it might cost, I have no idea, but let's say 2% more to build a LEED gold building. What if in 2 years' time we gather information and we find that it costs 0% more? So capturing this type of information is critical to this transformation process. Benchmarking, if we're going to get into the space of NAMAs and CDMs, we need to make sure that we have a benchmark to say this is what a typical office building consumes, this is what a typical home consumes. That gathering of energy use data is a massive problem all around the world. No one's doing it very well. So that's going to be a key focus moving forward. Financial instruments. Are there any available? What can be done? Singapore is an interesting example of how they position themselves as a hub and leader of green building in Asia Pacific. They've very slowly introduced financial incentives into the industry as a government. First it was cash incentives, now they've got density bonuses, so you can basically build another floor on top of the building. That doesn't cost the government anything. And now that they have a good demonstration of how they've implemented green building in Singapore, they're putting up their hand as the hub for green building in Asia Pacific and teaching other governments how financial incentives and good policy can actually support the government agenda around carbon reduction, energy security, social housing, and that. Actions for utilities. I didn't mention that when I was talking about Mexico. The Mexican government own their electricity utility. So they can financially work out that it's better to invest in decreasing demand than building a new power station because they own the utility. That's a great place to be in. I don't think there are many countries that actually own utilities anymore. So those dynamics and how utilities can play a role in possibly financing some of these energy efficiency upgrades, I think is a role that utilities can play. And I hope there's a few utility people in the room. Building capacity is a huge focus. And that's where I see the role of the Panama GBC focusing on, especially as they have been mentioned that we run events every month and have 8 subcommittees. That involvement and that understanding through the industry is what's going to change the industry fast. I think it's been mentioned that I used to run the New Zealand Green Building Council. As soon as we set the GBC up for a couple of years, as soon as we came out with the rating scheme, which down there was called Green Star, Flight Lead, within 2 years of that coming out, 50% of all new office buildings were Green Star rated or going through the Green Star process. So that transformation process can happen very rapidly. I think the other example of massive, fast transformation when I was reading your book this morning was after World War II, Detroit transformed their city from a gun-making city to a car-making city within 3 years. So if you as a small nation of 3,000 people put your mind to this, the transformation within the sector can happen very, very fast. The key is going to be integration. The only way that this transformation can happen and you can unlock these opportunities to get these financial mechanisms, to get the new building standards, the voluntary standards up, and to get things moving to build capacity is by working together, by getting involved in the committees, by having more meetings like this, and actively participating with the government and proving the business case. So it's an exciting time. I'm very excited to be here and see the political energy and the great work that's already going on here in Panama, and I do encourage you to get involved. So thank you.
muchísimas gracias a nuestra invitada especial por tan interesante conferencia. Ahora vamos a iniciar una ronda de preguntas-respuestas. El comité organizador insiste en que no se cuenta con Jane Henley muy a menudo, así que las preguntas las vamos a hacer directamente ustedes a nuestra invitada especial. No todo el tiempo se interactúa con ella, que eso es lo que queremos. Así que los micrófonos están en esta sala, queremos vayan subiendo su mano, nos indiquen quiénes son los que tienen inquietudes y pues iniciamos esta sesión de preguntas y respuestas que será de máximo 15 minutos. Gracias.
Everyone's hungry, right? Yeah, sorry about that. Before I came up, I said, I think we're going to wait after I speak to eat. Sorry.
¿Alguna pregunta? Allá tenemos una pregunta. Allá, ok.
You're keeping people from lunch, you realise.
Antes de iniciar esta ronda, también les informo que ya pueden pasar, está abierto formalmente, nuestro almuerzo especial.
Good morning, my name is Elisa Tonda. I'm working in the regional office of UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. Among the opportunities that probably have not been fully addressed in your presentation, and I would really very much appreciate your comments, are opportunities associated to job creation and capacity development. I think that the area of buildings do open a lot of them, so I would very much appreciate your comments.
I think job creation has been a key driver of the upgrade of existing buildings. I know in the US, they've just come out with they're calling it Better Buildings Initiative. And that the country has looked at their energy requirements over a certain period of time, and they've seen that through energy efficiency in buildings they can save $40 million a year and at the same time create thousands of jobs. So they are going to take a certain amount of that money that they're going to save and they're going to provide financial investments so that they can create jobs. Because in the US it's all about job creation. But they looked at that macro benefit of energy demand reduction through the built environment. They went to take a slice of that, transfer it over to incentives. Job creation is what we need right now, and so that's how they're creating jobs in the US. I think it's hard with the new building focus to tangibly work out how many jobs are created. And I know that most of the job creation strategies have come from existing building upgrade strategies. But and thank you. I know the UN has come out with a great green economy report recently, and that's got a good section on the built environment as well about job creation. I think it's interesting standing here, me saying to government, we don't have an ask of you right now, because I think from what I'm hearing here in Panama, industry is wanting to take a bit of a leadership role here. So I think the job creation agenda often comes from government. So maybe this is a challenge to government to say, let's also look at how job creation in other countries has been looked at, and how can we learn from that and have a job creation focus in the building sector.
Good afternoon. My name is Colonel de las Casas. I am an architect. I have two questions. First of all, congratulations for the position. I have two questions, not only one. The first one, due to Panama's diverse cultural influence, government, education, investment, developers, and citizens, how does representing concept focus the adequate share of technology according to our 9 degrees north latitude global position? That's the first question. The second one, what are some of the actual low footprint technologies in green building system.
Sorry, I didn't get the first question. I'm wondering if Gustavo can repeat it. Did you hear it? I couldn't hear.
Okay, the first question. Due to Panama's diverse cultural influence in government, education, investments, developers, and citizens, how does Green Building Council focus the adequate share of technology according to our 9 degrees north latitude global position?
I'm not sure what the question is. So on a technical level, whether your climate zone should be acknowledged in some sort of different way under these definitions of green? Probably yes. The answer is that the LEED rating system that you've adopted at the moment is a US based. It has value in that it has market currency, it's fantastic marketing, so people know what it is, but the weakness of it is it's not adapted for your materials, it's not adapted for your climate, and it doesn't have particular details that are appropriate for your building code. Now, I know the US Green Building Council has a lot of pressure on them from all of you countries in the Americas region, all other 21 countries basically out there, to have some flexibility in this way. They have an international roundtable which met in Toronto 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure if you guys were involved. Yes, Panama GBC was involved. So there's work being done to deal with that issue. Because you've adopted a US system, as we know, getting change happening with another country's system is hard and a bit slow. If you had your own system, you would have developed it according to what you need right now. But you've made a decision strategically to use LEED. If you change that over time, if you think that you want your own system, that will be a decision that you should all make as a Green Building Council. Do you want to add to that?
Gracias. Tenemos una pregunta acá. Por favor, el micrófono para asistir. Así que estamos ya por cerrar esta sesión de preguntas-respuestas.
Hi Jane, my name is Jorge Pinzon from Samsung Electronics. Samsung as a global company is ranked by Greenpeace as a leading company developing green products. And that shows that we are a very committed company to develop environmentally friendly products. I want to know if in the countries that Green Building Council is established, if you give some kind of, there is a collaboration in certifications to companies that produce green products to be recommended in order to participate in green projects, green building projects.
Yeah, I get your question because it's probably the most confusing space. That is, how does a product contribute to the overall outcome or greenness of a building? And how does that process of product approval work around the world? So LEED has its own process. So they recognise products and use eco-labelling systems in a certain way. Obviously you are recognised under LEED and you know what that is. As I said before, there are many different rating systems. There is no way that any of these are collaborating at this stage. Now this conversation has only just started this year at the Green Building Council to say, how do we improve this? Because this is the biggest waste of money in the system in terms of certification of products. Because at the moment, many of your product manufacturers would have to certify under a different eco-label in every country you trade in. And that is because the different building code requirements have different product requirements, and they use different eco-label systems, and there is no